Welcome to Nexus Virtual Education. This video will cover iPad equipment setup for the program. The iPad and related accessories come in a soft carry case that we highly encourage you to use on a daily basis to keep the equipment together and the iPad safe. Let's take a look what's inside the bag. This image shows examples of the typical equipment that comes with the iPad learning gear. Please note that the colors and shapes of the various chargers and cables may vary from kit to kit, but that each of these items should be included somewhere in your kit, even if they do vary in appearance. Let's take a look at each one individually. This small white cylinder-looking item made out of plastic is actually an adapter to help charge the Apple Pencil. This strap is for the bag itself, the carrying bag, and is completely optional and up to you if you want to attach it or simply leave it in the bag if you do not wish to use it. Next item we have is a stand that is intended to be used for the iPad when it is removed from its case. The one here in the example happens to have a silver or aluminum color to it, but this is a stand to put the iPad up vertically. On the side of this stand is a button, and you can adjust the angle of the stand from completely upright or to almost flat position. Shown here, as you turn it, you can see that this stand right there has a gray button. This back flap comes out, and that sets the angle of the stand. While you can use the stand at any time for the iPad, it is really intended for video conferencing when the student is working with a teacher or therapist and does a good job of orientating the iPad camera correctly for a good view during video conferencing time. Next up, we have the iPad charging block and charging cable. For the examples in this video, those happen to be white. This is the iPad charging block. It is the larger block. And then the cable that matches up is a white cable as well for charging the iPad. Both of these are set up with the correct ends. This one happens to have the newer USB-C, which is a tiny adapter. And then on the other end is a Lightning plug-in, which is what matches up with the iPad for charging purposes. Both of these should be used together to correctly charge your iPad. The other charging cable and block that we have here are for charging the iPad case and keyboard, not for the iPad itself. This is the smaller block and the smaller cable in this example. The block has a traditional USB connection to it that all of us should be familiar with, and the other end is the newer USB-C connection, which is what is required to charge up the iPad case and keyboard. Yes, those do need to be charged from time to time, separate from the iPad. The last cable we have could definitely be a different color than the one you see here. This cable can be used to charge both the iPad if needed, but it is really intended to charge up the Apple Pencil. The Apple Pencil has a unique lightning end just like the iPad, and then this cable also has a regular USB-C rectangular end on it that you can use with the smaller charging block. This cable can also be used as a spare if needed. Let's take a look at the iPad. Each iPad learning kit comes with a recent generation iPad inside of a very robust hard shell case. This case was picked for a reason. You will notice that it has some heft and weight to it. That was done intentionally to help prevent equipment breakage. If you lift up and rotate the iPad around and take a look at it, you'll see the hinge on this side, as well as several ports and buttons around the outside perimeter of the iPad case. Be sure to check out all these buttons and their various functions. To open it up, insert your fingertips and just pry upward. Taking a look at the open device, you will see that a full keyboard is included in the case, as well as an Apple Pencil and the iPad itself. The iPad is in a clamshell design and is actually magnetically held onto the case on the top portion and at the hinge. The keyboard that you see here is wirelessly connected to the iPad via Bluetooth, as well as the Apple Pencil that's in the slot in the case itself is connected via Bluetooth as well to the iPad. To remove the iPad from the lower portion of the case, press down somewhere near the keyboard and hold down while grabbing one of the upper corners of the iPad and pulling free. It will magnetically remove itself from the lower portion of the case, and now you have a standalone iPad that can be used away from the keyboard and the rest of the case. To return the iPad to the case, simply rotate it, drop it in center into the slot, and it will magnetically reseat itself into the rest of the case and be bonded back with the keyboard. Let's talk about charging the devices, and there are several different places that need to be charged. The charging port for the iPad is under a rubber flap on the right-hand side. You pull that out with a fingernail and you will notice that there is a lightning charging port underneath there. On the lower right corner of the case is the charging port for the case and keyboard. And that's a different type of port down there on the lower right-hand side. The Apple Pencil also needs to be charged from time to time as well. This needs to be removed from the case. You can pry that out with a finger, and then you can open up the end cap and find the charging port for the Apple Pencil. Please know that the charging end on the Apple Pencil is a little bit on the delicate side. So with that opened up, take the end cap, just remove it and set it aside for just a moment. Grab the cylindrical or oval style adapter that was shown earlier in the video and plug that on to the end of the Apple Pencil as shown in the video here. With that on there and the adapter ready to go, grab the extra charging cable that you have that has the lightning or very flat end on it and plug that into the end of the Apple Pencil. That cable can then be plugged into the smaller charging block and your Apple Pencil charges up. Notice for the first time it will take a couple of hours to completely charge. Once charged, completely remove the cable and the little adapter end as well and remove that. You could use the second or larger iPad charger block and cable as well. Those work just fine if you want, although if you're charging the iPad, you'll need to use the alternate set. But either one works just fine. Unplug when done, remove the adapter, and be sure to put the end cap on the Apple Pencil when charged to protect that port, and then it can stay in the slot in the case. To charge the iPad, you will want the larger charging block and cable. This is the one with the lightning port at the end of it, or lightning plug at the end. Simply lift the flap on the side of the iPad, plug in snugly, and then plug the charger into a wall. Your iPad will come with somewhat of a charge with it when it arrives, but you will definitely want to give this a few hours charge before regular use for learning with Nexus. During learning time, you should not need the charger plugged in and can simply remove it and close the rubber flap and set those items aside. To charge the case and keyboard, use the smaller charging block and cable, and this is the one with the flat USB-C end on it that looks like an oval. That's the one that you absolutely have to use for the case. The plug is on the lower right-hand corner of the case. Simply plug into a wall outlet and charge up again for a couple of hours before first use. Here's how to power on the learning devices. The first one is the iPad. To power on the iPad, the switch is located in the upper left-hand corner of the iPad. It is a rubberized switch and does take a little bit of force to press it down. You must press and hold for several seconds, and then the iPad will power on. Once the Apple logo appears, you can stop pressing the power button and let the iPad run through its startup sequence. The keyboard power is in the upper right-hand corner. Simply press it, and you will see a brief green light light up. When video conferencing for instructional purposes or therapeutic purposes, you will want the iPad to be in an upright or vertical position. That is why the iPad kit comes with an extra stand, and you will want to remove the iPad from the keyboard case for this purpose. Lift up on one corner. The case will magnetically remove itself from the lower keyboard part, and then you can stand it up vertically right on the stand. The stand can then be adjusted for proper viewing angle and proper camera angle while holding a video conference. Connecting the iPad to your home Wi-Fi setup is crucially important for the learning process. From the main home screen, press the Settings button. Once you're inside Settings, look on the left-hand column for the icon marked Wi-Fi. Give it a few seconds and it will scan looking for your home Wi-Fi network. Look down the list and find the one that is for your house, apartment, or other dwelling. Click on that Wi-Fi network name and enter your password for your home Wi-Fi network. When you're done, click Join and give it up to 30 seconds for the iPad to completely join your home network. This crucial step into getting the iPad on your home Wi-Fi network is also the most difficult for us, Nexus Education, to help you with or to provide tech support for. We highly recommend that if you have difficulty joining your Wi-Fi network, that you call your internet service provider to get aid and get your password and make sure you can connect. Once you are completely connected, a blue check mark should appear on the right-hand column next to the name of your Wi-Fi network. Once that's done, you are joined. Click on the iPad Home button and it should return you to the main screen. The iPad learning tools are now completely set up and ready to go. You can skip this last section of the video if you want, if you don't feel any need for it. We're going to go through some very basic iPad navigation steps and where a few things are located. It is assumed that most people are familiar with smartphone technology and the use of gestures and swiping with your fingers. The iPad works the same way. From the main screen, if you swipe over with your finger, you will go to a second page of apps that contains all of the learning apps we have preloaded for you for your Nexus Education program. Do note that your load of apps may vary from the ones you're currently seeing on the screen. The primary learning apps center around various applications from Google and also the Blackboard learning system. Both of these systems should come with student login information, usernames, and passwords already entered for you, but this video is going to show you where they're located. One of the first and simplest ones to go to is Drive. It's by Google, so find the application or icon for Drive. And this should hopefully already be signed in for you, but if not, you would click the sign in button and you would enter in the student email address on the screen that you see here. And then once that email address is entered, you would enter the password that the student uses with that email address. Once finished, you can always press the iPad home button to return to the app screen or the home screen. The other main application that is going to be used for Nexus Virtual Education is Blackboard. It is a nationally recognized learning management system. Find the Blackboard app or icon and click on it. Again, this system should already be logged in with the student's username and password. If not, you would type in Nexus and it will search the Blackboard database and find Nexus Virtual Education. Click on that and then enter the student username and password on the screen that you see here. Press the home button on the iPad to return to the main screen. You are now set up and ready to go with Nexus Virtual Education. Thank you for being a part of the program.